Hey guys, and welcome to Sounds Like NYC episode 72. Our next guests are a gay pop rock musical duo based in New York City. You can find them on Instagram at Fab The Duo. Please welcome Brendan and Greg. How
Hey.
is it being like a musical group that's a couple? Like, at what point does like it turn off? You know what I mean?
It
No,
doesn't.
honestly, it's one of those things. I don't know how it works, but it works, and so we just go. Why ask why? And we do have couple like moments and arguments within a musical moment. Like it just happens. In fact, a lot of the time during our shows, we do have our little couple bickers.
People love
But
seeing us
people
fight
love it,
though.
and we don't mean to do it. It's just like something like, "Oh, you're in the wrong key." Am I? Yes. No. Like, oh yeah, I am. It's like
Kind of like
that
a
kind of
skit,
little
basically,
like
Yeah.
right?
that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's really fun. It definitely gives us always something to talk
it's
about.
true. Yeah.
And, it's so fun. We vibe so well together that it's really fun to vibe creatively and
Yeah.
and in terms of performing and stuff like that and interviews, it makes it so much easier to, always have another person to vibe off instead of just
Mhm.
always being by yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like really amazing how in just like like about a year and a half, 2 years, just like the amount of success that you guys have been like able to kind of like garner. So like, why do you think, like, obviously it's all because of the fans, but like, yeah, like how would you describe your fan base, and like what do you think is like the general source of your of the success that you guys have gotten up until now?
Yeah. I think that what has hit me over time, and I think is very relevant, is that I think people can't resist a good love story. And we're selling a live in the flesh love story. No one knows the ending. No one knows how it's gonna do. So we're all on this together. We're providing the soundtrack. So all of our fans are very much lovers. They love love. They love watching love blossom. They love people. Yeah, they're all the people that have come into Fab and been huge sponsors, huge fans and things, are just lovers through and through. And you can really see that whenever you get everyone in a room together.
Yeah, so our fans, which we also call Fabbits, by the way,
Mhm.
they're really diverse, actually. We were worried that it'd be hard to, get anyone outside of the LGBT community
Hmm.
because, we were worried we just sort of look at like a novelty gay act, but like, so many straight people of also all ages too.
Yeah.
And we played in like rural areas in Vermont and Texas as well as
Huh.
Ooh, wow.
places like New York. And I mean, I'm from Vermont, he's from Texas,
Yeah.
Oh, that,
but
that
yeah,
makes sense.
that explains why.
Yeah.
But we played both rural areas, urban areas, straight people, gay people, young and
A lot of the
old.
time, actually, the girlfriends bring their boyfriends there, but then their boyfriends come running up to us before the girlfriends. They're like, "Oh, I love your outfits. I love your shoes," and like it's quite fun to watch. And it's like, okay, we got to give some props to y'all straight
Yeah,
men.
and then also it's really cool how international our fan base is. Like looking at our stats on Spotify and stuff, there's people from the Netherlands and from Brazil, like Sao Paulo. We have a huge following there
Yeah.
somehow. And on like whenever we do Instagram live streams, people are tuning in from like places like South Africa,
Hmm.
Mauritius, like
Yeah.
UK, all these places. So
Places I've never heard of, so it's
it's
great.
really cool. And I think Greg like nailed it saying, we're not like a gay story, it's a love story. And I feel like everyone could relate to that, whether you're gay or straight.
Sure.
Interesting.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
How have you guys been doing like, marketing yourselves on social media? Like, what have you guys been doing up to this point to get to where you guys are?
Honestly, I don't even know. Like, it's like it changes every day. Like, social media is a whole life force that no one knows what it is.
It is, but I think like, for a while we had no idea what our brand was, what we
Yeah,
were trying to say, what our image was. We were like being told all these different things, like, oh well, don't be too out there, don't be too gay, all these things. And then I feel like once we
yeah,
really, and Greg, I gotta give Greg props because he's the branding guy. Once we really honed in on our brand and like what we wanted to portray to the world and had like a sort of more streamlined look and story, it like really, that's when it started to take off, and we started to get more like press and things started to pick up. So
Yeah,
that
I
was
think
really helpful.
yeah, bouncing off of that, I think it is literally just us kind of just doing our own thing and hoping for the best and throwing it out there.
Yeah, it's
Like,
also a marathon, like not a race. So like I wish we could have, you know, just go viral 1 second and, you know,
yeah.
get like thousands of fans, but honestly, you know, we have to be on social media a lot, just like putting in the work and reaching out to different people. And yeah, it just takes time, but you know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Are you guys on TikTok yet?
we're trying. It's
We don't
I
know
don't get
TikTok.
it.
We don't understand it. I think we
We're-
missed the train.
we would like to. Would you want David's fantastic TikTok consulting services then? Because apparently he's the.
I just had a one video that like went viral, and that's it. I just talk about it as at whenever it comes
Go.
up, but
Yeah.
it's
To me,
not
it's
really.
All
so
the help we
random
can
what
get.
goes viral, but I mean, we're trying to get more people to do like trying to do those TikTok dance challenges and stuff like that. But I think we just got to spend more time on it because it's a
Yeah.
whole new platform that, you know, you got to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, definitely like the nature of your music is definitely more that upbeat kind of like dancey vibe. So I think you guys would be like a perfect like fit to have like a viral TikTok or like anything of that nature.
We would
I hope
love
so.
that. Yeah,
That'd be
hopefully
great.
one day.
Yeah. So like speaking of your music, so like before you guys, if I remember correctly, Brendan and
Greg.
Greg.
Right.
Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah. So like Brendan, before you guys met up, like what kind of songwriting were you doing? Were you doing like a completely different genre? And then when you guys met, it kind of formed into kind of like the dance pop or like general pop thing that it is now? Or like, yeah, what has been your personal journey in terms of musicality?
It definitely, I mean, there's definitely influences, but it also changed a lot. In high school, I was in a lot of like rock bands, even like almost, I never did screaming, but like some of the people in my bands did. And then, you know, after high school, I was sort of just, because I just had my guitar, I was sort of doing that singer-songwriter, almost Ed Sheeran like thing. And then, you know, once the two of us came together, we brought all these different influences because we like come from such different backgrounds. Our voices are so different. So it makes no sense that it even works together, but somehow it does. Greg has his whole musical theater background, and it, you know, that's sort of how we bring in all these different elements from rock to pop, dance, Broadway, like all this stuff is sort of a mix of the two of us.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, so like speaking of which, like Greg's like, musical background. So like yeah, tell us about how like that started. Like when did you realize that you wanted to do theater and like how that kind of like trickled down to like you coming over here and like Brendan as well, like kind of like the story of like how you guys actually ended up coming to the city.
Yeah, so I was lucky enough so I'm adopted, and I was adopted at 2.5. And I was lucky enough to be adopted into this very artsy family. Like my mom is a professional soprano. My dad is a writer, like in within the other parts of the family, it's like writers, teachers, all this. So like I was lucky enough to get tossed into this world. And I mean, I grew up around, opera music, classical music. That's because that's what I was surrounded by with my mom. And so I just kind of learned through that. And then over time, I started getting into band. I played tuba, and then, and I was really good at that. But I really wanted to sing, but I had a terrible experience where people laughed at me, so I didn't sing anymore. So then it wasn't until about sophomore year that I actually, no, junior year, that I sang again from 5th grade into then. So, and then that's where I found my love for theater and really fell in love with it. And honestly, it sounds ridiculous, but Glee really made me want to perform. Glee really showed me that, okay, maybe I could do this. Like, I shouldn't be too afraid. If they're losers and they can do it, why can't I? Kind of funny looking back, but it just worked. So shout out to Glee. And then, then I didn't go to school for it. I hate school. I really hated it. I love the social aspect, hated everything else.
Yep. Yep.
Mostly just because I didn't like the whole, like, you only can do it one way and that's the only correct way. I was just like, that's not me. So anyway, I decided that I was just going to see how far I could get by just jumping in. And about a year and a half after I graduated, actually, I moved to New York and was doing shows all around here, working, and yeah, now I've done a lot. And the last thing I ever expected was to be in a band, and especially recording music, because I was always very, very scared of my voice, like terrified of it. I didn't, as a kid with a big old voice like mine, I was very just like, ooh, he thinks he's better than all of us, or oh, he's an opera singer, or can you shut up your vibrato? And it's like, oh, I don't know what. I'm sorry, I know how to sing. Like, that's kind of what it was. So yeah, that's kind of how I got here.
Yeah, it's so funny. One of our first like shows, we had to do a bunch of pop covers, and Greg almost was like, "I can't do this. I'm not meant to be a pop singer."
I had a full out like mental breakdown behind the scenes. Like, it was like Real Housewives level like mental breakdown. Like, oh my god, I don't know. Like, what if I go out there and I like screw it all up and everyone yells at me and I ruin the pop songs? And it was just like, yeah. So,
but yeah, I'm glad he got over it, and we're still doing our thing. And yeah, I grew up, I did choir in high school. I was in bands. I did go to school. I actually studied. I was like, almost went to Berklee School of Music, but I was like too afraid to take the jump into just doing music. So I was like, I'm going to, go to liberal arts school. I actually studied political science. And then after I graduated, I'm like, no, I just want to go to New York and do music and see what happens. So right after I graduated college, I moved to New York, didn't even have a job. I met Greg on Tinder like a month later. So it was pretty soon after. He like came to like one of my first open mics in the city where it was literally like him. He was the one audience member. And and then after that things started picking up.
Oh, so you guys haven't even been here for like maybe less than 5 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been here I just passed 4 years in May.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just like 3 years for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like what's like the city for, a couple of guys from like rural areas? Like what was like some of like the culture shock or like surprises that you guys had when you like kind of like the first month or the first couple of months in like being here?
Yeah, honestly, I always knew I wanted to live in New York. So for me, it was actually instead of a oh my god moment, it was like an oh thank god moment. Because in Texas, like, I hated everyone waving at you. I hated everyone acting like they care about you and then turning around and being like, I don't know who this person is. I hate fake. So like Texas, like that's all it's built on. It's like you have to be nice. You have to present yourself in a nice way. You have to know everyone's business. And I just hated that. And even when I go back now and everyone waving at me, I'm like, yo, leave me alone. And so like I love like I was just talking to my sister the other day and she like fell down the stairs on the subway going to work one time and like really hurt her knee. And she was like crying and all this. And she was telling me like, no one turned around and helped me. And I was like, I mean, like, I'm pretty sure someone probably was like, is she okay? Okay, she's not dead. I got to catch her train. But that's something I was like, instead of, oh God, oh my God, I was like, oh, thank God. I actually love this city. I kind of like the invisible aspect because in Texas, you're just smothered. Now, New Yorkers are not as mean as I thought they would be. I think the biggest thing for me was just the cold weather. But I was looking forward to it because in Texas, it goes from 100 degrees to like 40 degrees in the same day sometimes. So
yeah,
I
think Vermont's got it worse than us though.
Really? Vermont is so cold. Yeah, it's even worse than here. So I'm used to it. I'm like, whatever, this is nothing. But Greg is definitely, when it gets cold, it's a little harder for him.
Oh yeah.
I also like always imagine moving to New York, but it definitely was a bit more of a shock for me just because I grew up in such a small town and I was probably, I guess you'd say I was a little bit sheltered and I was like very trusting of everyone and, very polite. And so like, the first couple of months and Greg would see it, people would always just like rope me in and try to, get me to do some scam or like, and I would just like assumed everyone always had like the best interests at heart, and it just like it took me, it took me a year to get a bit of a tougher skin and get used to like the rudeness and the fast pace and the sort of dog eat dog world of it. But I love New York. I think even though people aren't necessarily like, the most friendly people, but like it really is a community, just seeing like how people have responded the last few months. And, we love New York. Even now, we have no desire to just leave. I know a lot of people lately have been like, are you planning on leaving New York? Like, I've heard it's dead. I'm like, no, that's all like, no, like New York is definitely not dead. There's still such a like heart and soul of it. Even now. And I love the city a lot.
Awesome.
I'm glad those people who do think that it's dead are leaving though. So
exactly.
They can leave. I'm like, if you can leave, whatever. Like,
cheaper rents for us. I mean,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
get all those tourists out of Times Square. We were in Times Square yesterday and we could actually walk around. I was like, oh my God, I actually hate it anymore.
I prefer New York City like this, just quiet.
I mean,
Barren.
but like one of the most defining parts of the city is it being so packed and busy, and especially Times Square being completely packed,
I miss yelling at people being in my way. I miss being mad that someone's walking slow. Like I miss that.
I love having a seat on the train.
I mean, that's true too.
And I love outdoor restaurants, at least right now, actually. Like, because I've been to Europe and like everyone does it, and it's so nice having it outdoors. So, at least when it's warm.
Yeah.
I mean, have you guys ever like written a song? Because we were like only listening to like the two most what do you call it? Like the two most singles that you guys, or the most
popular,
the two most single that you guys have put out. Sorry, I can't speak English, but is there like any like song within your like catalog that specifically talks about New York City, or like deals with like themes about living in the big city?
I personally wrote a song about New York called New York Skyline when I just moved here, and I was like, every single day I'd look out at New York and be like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm like looking at this. It looks like a stock photo. Like, I can't believe I'm here.
Honeymoon phase.
Yeah, the honeymoon phase.
Yeah,
I mean, there's still times when like you'll just look out and be like, wow, I can't believe I'm here. And then there's other times where you're just like staring at the ground or your phone and forget about it. And
I
don't know.
We don't have a New York moment yet. It's definitely one that we need to have. I think we just need New York to get back to itself first.
Yeah.
Well, that's
that's a good idea. That's a good.
Everyone has to have a New York song. It's like a rite of passage.
Yeah. So like, speaking of your music, if you want, we could like take this time to kind of like listen to like one of your singles or like
plug
any
something
song.
in.
Yeah, totally.
So what would you want us to plug in?
I guess so. We recently, in the past 2 weeks, released a new single called "Party for Two." I think it's a very perfect quarantine bop where it's all about just like being stuck at home but still trying to have a party.
Yeah.
So I think I'd love to play that one.
Yeah.
Awesome. Boop.
Turn on the speakers, play some new tunes. Be my dance partner, show me your moves. Step into the water, put on some shampoo. It's just me and you, we'll have a party for two.
I take a lot of inspiration writing songs in the shower. It's like, it's where I get to sing and just sort of like play around with things without like any judgment. So I sort of came up with this song in the shower and basically wrote the song about taking a shower and like having fun in a shower. And then we wrote this song like way before quarantine, and then we realized that, this was sort of the perfect song for quarantine because literally we've been stuck, the two of us and our dog Dolly, in this apartment for the last 6 months, just trying to make the most out of being stuck together. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. So, and then, when we were in the recording process, Greg sort of said just all these fun things, just like improvised. Like
Yeah, so it's funny because I whenever we were shooting the music video for this song, there's a moment in the bridge where I literally just in the moment just said what I thought, and of course he used that, but I still don't really like, even though it's recorded, I still don't really know what I said and how I said it because it just happened. And I realize now that like, oh my God, I really don't know. I have to like learn it by listening to myself. Like it's a whole different person. It's so funny.
I also want to plug, so we have a music video for the song out, which has gotten a good amount of press and views, but we also have a workout video
Yeah.
that we did. We hired some backup dancers right before quarantine for all our shows, and then, you know, quarantine happened and we couldn't use them, and then we really wanted to utilize them because they're all New York and they're all incredibly talented. And so, you know, I feel like we both got sort of out of shape just being stuck at home in quarantine. And I was sort of inspired by, I was doing some like, you know, online Zumba classes where I just like streamed people doing dance workouts and trying to do that. And so we wanted to like do an interactive fun workout video where, you know, and we all danced and people could follow along, and we're not dancers at all. So like we sort of looked a little goofy at times, and we were definitely not perfect, but we also just wanted people to feel like, you know, if they're doing this and coming out of the video where their dance moves aren't perfect, like, you know, it's okay. We can just dance and have fun and be a little bit active right now. Cause I know for me, it's definitely harder to be active.
Yeah.
So yeah, just wanted to plug that workout video.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, we could like include that as well. Maybe like a short little section of it, because like I feel like that would definitely be kind of like a viral TikTok video, just like waiting to happen. Anything to do with dancing and music, yeah,
There you
it'll
go.
be popping really, really quick.
Right.
But I mean,
No,
do you
yeah,
have- 'cause-
yeah. I wanted to see like what is the end goal for Fab the Duo?
Honestly, and this is just we want to be a household name. We want people to understand that if you're gay, that's not a limitation. We are even right now, making history with everything we do, and we would love it if we could be the first the first gay couple to win awards, whether it be a Grammy or whatever it be, and get notoriety from that, and show people that you can be a gay couple, you can be gay, you can be anything that's not the norm and still do what you want and still do it well. You know, we hold ourselves to such a high standard. I mean, we have people messaging us from all over the world at any given day saying, oh my God, I just found y'all. It's literally illegal, like a death sentence if I'm gay. And I just want to say, like,
In some
y'all,
of these countries,
like,
yeah, people
y'all
from Egypt
literally are
to,
saving
like,
my life
yeah.
by just showing me that it could be possible for me. So thank you. Like, we get messages like that. It gets really like deep. And people have come to us like saying like, you know, crazy things, like, and just like it's so heartbreaking. And so like, it just makes us want to do it more because we're barely doing anything right now. Like, we're doing well, but like, we could be doing so much more for them. So that's something we really believe in and really want to do. And we are also biracial, or we're a biracial couple, so interracial couple. So like, we want to just show people that even Black and white people and anyone can, if you believe in something, if you love one another, we can, you know, make shit happen. So that's
oh
it.
yeah,
That's it.
pretty noble
Yeah,
cause.
for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Awesome. I mean, I just wanted to ask like specifically about like the production of the songs. Like, are you guys doing everything, or like do you have
It
a
seems like a lot of
producer?
work on those videos
Yeah, yeah,
too. It's like,
definitely. And like, yeah, so like what's like the team behind you guys, or are you guys primarily the team, or like what's up with that?
So we have a very, very small but mighty team. We had a terrible experience at the very beginning where we lost a ton of money, and but we learned from that, and now it hasn't happened again. But whenever it comes to music videos, we plan everything ourselves.
Yeah.
We do the styling. We pretty much everything but the cinematography and the editing we do ourselves. But we always keep a collaborative atmosphere because that's literally what made Fab. So we like to make sure that everyone who steps onto our sets knows that their voice is going to be heard.
So we don't do the actual production of the song. We have our own producer, and
You
we have
want
a
to
different
shout him out?
producer.
Shout him or her out?
Yeah. So we have for our full EP, we had a producer named Mr. Sonic,
Yeah.
who is really big in the Latin world. He's worked with Shakira and Ricky Martin, and
Oh,
won a
cool.
Latin Grammy. And now for our next song, our newest song, Party for Two, and moving forward, we're working with Nico Vod. It goes by Vaudeville Studios. And it's like just a bit more of a modern sound. So we have our own producers, but we're still definitely like very heavily involved with the whole process.
Yeah, we like to think of ourselves as creatives through and through. So we were both very firm believers, and you got to do it yourself until someone can do it better. And so that's kind of what we do. And you know, we surround ourselves with extremely talented people, because those are the people that make sure that we know what we're doing. And then, but we always have an idea of what we want. So that way they know where they're going with it. And then literally everything you see, everything you hear is all collaborative between everyone. But obviously we birthed the baby.
Yeah, and a big lesson I learned, I always imagined making music that like I would just be like doing my thing, playing guitar. Some label or producer would come, make me famous and do everything, and I would just sit there and look pretty, and they would do everything. And at the beginning, we sort of got what we thought was that fantasy, where someone came in and was like, I'm going to do everything for you. Just listen to everything I say. I'm going to make you guys big. It's going to be amazing. And it turned out to be a huge mess. As Greg said, we lost a lot of money. And then after that, we were like, you know what? We need to really be in charge of, this is our faces that we're putting out there. So we need to know what we're doing. We need to know every aspect of the industry, from doing the PR and the branding and the videography and production. Like, we gotta at least know how to do it ourselves. And until like someone else could do it better, obviously in the future we'd love to have like a huge label and, you know, a big team behind us. But until we like have people that we can trust, it's better and cheaper and more rewarding to like be pretty much in charge of everything.
And also we get to bring our talented friends in and work with them, which is always fun. And
we'd rather work with our friends than like, you know, some big wig at a, you know,
which is all well and good if you pay us enough.
But yeah, I think it's that like artists who are just starting out know that like it's okay to do a lot yourselves. It's okay not to have a label or a manager at the very beginning. And it's good to learn how to do it all yourself, especially right now.
Because also the more you know, the more you won't let people get away with later. And that's the thing, is like this industry, people love a clueless person because they can do so much for so little money, or make them pay for it because they just don't know any better. But if you arm yourself with everything and you walk into that room, you can be like, no, because I could do that. Why can't you? So you can do that and you can do more. And that's how you'll pay me, because I came up with
And now that we know who we are, we won't just let anyone come in and say like, well, you have to do things this way, because we already know who we are. We know what works. We know what our brand is. And so, you know, I feel like we have a little bit more say for what we're doing. And especially in the beginning phase when people are just getting introduced to us, I think that's super important.
Yeah.
What is your brand?
Brand is love.
Love, fierceness.
I mean, our name says it all. So our name, Fab, is actually an acronym.
Ooh.
It stands for Fierce Ass Bitches. That's what it stands for. Fierce Ass Bitches, the duo. And that's really what it's about. It's about living your fierce life and, you know, loving everyone as hard as you can. And, you know.
Yeah, and our motto is just be you, be proud. So we're just trying to be the like most heightened extra versions of ourselves and encourage everyone else to do the same.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, like, once again, for like, it's been maybe like 2 years, but you guys have already achieved so much success. So like, congrats on the amount of success that you guys have, like, you know, gotten in like such a short time. So you guys are definitely on like a upward trend for sure.
Yeah, and that just goes to show like how universally, you know, that message is for people to sort of attach to.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, we're very lucky and we're very happy with everything that's happened, and we just hope that it just keeps going.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, or something we always ask everybody who comes in, like, what do you guys think? Like, how do you think New York City has changed you as people?
Hmm. For me, I think it's just made me stronger, bolder, and very much um, more more willing to take a chance. Because New York is the biggest chance I've ever taken.
And for me, it's taught me how to say no, honestly, which is so important because I was always the kind of person who just wanted to please everyone and say yes to everything and, not get in any trouble or start anything. And like, honestly, no one has time for that in New York. If you say yes to everything, or if you try to like, accommodate every single person, even the people who don't care about you, you're not going to get anywhere in the city. So, it's forced me to be a little tougher and be not afraid to advocate for myself, even if it, makes some people angry.
Yeah. I always say this is like my quote that I made up, is like, New York's a bitch, but it takes one to know one.
Yeah.
That's what I've always said. And I think it's
That's
just
an
like
amazing
very,
quote. That's an amazing quote.
Put that on a bumper sticker.
it's Craig. Quotes by Craig.
What are
Wow.
some challenges that you guys have, like being a duo versus like being either a single artist or part of like a bigger group? Like, what sort of challenges or benefits are there to being just a duo?
Honestly, challenges is just like, obviously, we're in a relationship, so it's balancing that. But honestly, it's not too hard. It's just one of those things that is what it is, and you just go with it. But there's actually a lot of benefits. Like, we both were solo artists, and it's so hard to be a solo artist and to do everything by yourself. And we're so lucky that we get to play off of each other, and we don't really have to worry about an audience because we're worrying about ourselves and we just interact with ourselves. Because there are moments where it is intimidating. Like, for instance, New Year's Eve, we did a show at the bitter end, and there was, I think, almost 300 people there, which sounds insane now, but there were 300 people in the room.
Mhm.
And it was intimidating. Like, it was, a lot of them were people we didn't even know. It was like New Year's Eve at the bitter end. So it's just like, oh my gosh, but we have a motto, which is like, we just focus on each other. And if you get nervous, just look at each other. And that's something you can't do as a solo artist. Like, if you're freaked out, you're freaked out. Like, and everyone knows. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think some things about being a duo, like we do have to hire a band sometimes, or now we're sort of going in the more backing track, backup dancers. But, obviously if you're in a band, it's easier. You don't have to hire a band each time you do a show. I think, obviously there are some times that we don't like agree on every single thing.
That's
Yeah,
big.
overall, even if we disagree on things, I think we end up with something stronger because we have both of our opinions and we balance things off of each other. And yeah, obviously there's like little things like posting on Twitter. I can see you guys, it's like we have to have a voice that's both of us, not just one person, which sometimes makes things a little like complicated. But yeah, I mean,
but it's also nice because we get to bounce ideas off of each other. So it all evens out at the end. But yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys want to leave with?
There's like one
Yeah, because I don't want this whole thing just
like literally, I just be you, be proud, and be loud, as long as you're not hurting yourself or anyone else. That's kind of what we always say. So
awesome.
love that.